Hello and welcome to the Freedom Experiment with David Smith, me. This week I have a lovely guest from London, the UK, and his name is Raj Gorsia, and he is a life coach, and he's more in the realms of well-being, and he teaches mindfulness. And yeah, I'd just like to introduce him. How you going, Raj?
Yeah, good, thanks. How you doing?
Very good. Did I get your name right there?
Yeah, all good, all good.
Yeah.
The first name's easy, right? Because it's just straight up Raj, and it's quite
Yes.
common as well.
Yes, yeah, I can get Raj. I spent a bit of time in India, so I can sort of.
Yeah,
Is
awesome.
it Indian, or did I get that wrong as well?
Yeah, no, it's definitely
Okay,
Indian, right? It's
yeah,
probably one of the most common Indian names as well. So yeah,
yeah,
you probably heard loads of it out there when you were out there.
yes, I did hear it a bit, so it's kind of stuck in the memory for sure. Yeah, so what's freedom to you, Raj?
Freedom to me, okay, interesting. In what sense, or is that just an open question?
Very open, very broad. We can
Okay,
go towards like internal freedom if you want, but some
yeah,
people say freedom is, I don't know, waking up early in the morning or late, or but freedom can go as
yeah.
far or as little as you would like to take it.
Yeah. So freedom for me is probably just being my truest self and being free from the thinking that is telling me otherwise.
Yeah, I like it. Nice and simple.
Yeah,
I think the simplest approach to these um, internal dialogues and stuff is, for me, is the best way. It's very Zen like, very like, that's why mindfulness I think works, because
yeah,
it's in the now, isn't it? It's
yeah,
attainable. Um,
exactly.
so how do you achieve this state of freedom, or how do you like try to access that state of sort of no thoughts and not identifying so much?
Yeah, so I practice meditation and yoga every morning, right? So it's been something I've been cultivated in the last. I started practicing yoga probably about 7-ish years ago. Very like skeptical at first and thinking like this is strange. This is for girls, right? That's the common thing that I had in my
It
mind. I
is,
was
isn't
like,
it?
yeah, I
Yeah.
lift weights. I'm a weightlifter,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
I am. But it I tell everyone that was the day my life changed. That moment I moved and went into that first yoga class because yeah, cultivating freedom started then. It was just feeling relaxed and
Mm.
just being in the moment, and that's what I started feeling. And now what I do is, yeah, practice every day to bring myself back to that presence.
Beautiful. What type of meditation do you practice, and what type of yoga do you practice?
Yeah,
What do
it
they
depends.
change? Yep.
Yeah, it depends. It depends. Sometimes I enjoy doing yin style yoga because sometimes I really need it, right? I feel like I really need it. I feel like I really need to just sit there and feel what's going on in my body. But sometimes I'll actually in the mornings generally I'll do more faster yoga like vinyasa stuff like
So can we give
vinyasa.
a little brief interpretation of what yin yoga is and what vinyasa yoga is?
Yeah. So yin yoga, the way I describe it in the simplest way for how I
I
understand
love it.
it anyway.
Simple is the way to go, I think. Let's just keep it all simple. Let's power
Yeah,
through the
yeah,
questions. Simple, simple, simple. Like, let's just
yeah,
get it
yeah. The
going.
way I describe the yin yoga is staying in asana, in poses for longer time, and breathing into the muscle. So usually like over 2 minutes at least, I'll stay in a pose and just feeling into it, breathing into it. Whereas vinyasa style would be more like a flow, and it would be more like a synchronizing of the breath and the movement.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll actually make that even more faster and more like powerful just to get the blood flowing in the morning.
Hmm. So what type of person would be attracted to yin yoga, and what type of person would be attracted to vinyasa yoga?
Interesting. Yeah, so I guess what type
Or,
of
or
person? Yeah.
how, what benefits would someone going to yin yoga get compared to vinyasa yoga?
Yeah, I'd say more relaxation. from the yin yoga for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll usually do it at night unless
Yeah.
I'm feeling really stressed in the morning.
Yeah.
But I'll usually do it at night just to chill out, relax, and just feels good.
Yeah. It's good to
Whereas
wind down, isn't it?
100%. Whereas the more like flow and the more like movement is feels great in the morning because it gets me moving. It gets me like feeling loose and sweating as well, right? It actually feels like a proper workout.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I'm really, I really sort of am on the same line as that. Like this morning, I had more of a vinyasa flow happening, and last night I did a full day of work, and I just did
Yeah,
some nice soft poses just to like release the muscles that had tensed up during the day and stuff. And I think that's
yeah,
why I love yoga so much, is that it's so versatile.
yeah,
And I loved what you said about, I had the same stereotype, just thinking that yoga was for women and I'm not flexible, so I can't do yoga.
yeah, yeah,
But it's, yeah, as I got more into it, I needed yoga the most because I needed to soften a little bit, and my muscles just needed that chance to
yeah,
just release, and to tone themselves up in a better way, rather than just like continually smashing my body. I used to play
yeah,
football, just throwing my body into like a football arena, and then also like smashing my body with carpentry building. So doing, 50 hours, 60 hours a week, and then
yeah,
running. So it's just like constantly pushing the body to its limits, which I think has its place, but yoga is definitely a good space to bring some more balance in.
yeah. No, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. So what led you towards yoga, mate? Like, what was there something
Yeah.
that really sort of made you move into it, or?
Yeah, so there's actually two versions of this story. I'll tell you the fun version first. So initially, what like physically led me to it in the moment was, yeah, I fancied this girl, right? And she was like, yeah, come to a yoga class, try it out. And I was like, okay, sure. This pretty girl says come along, sure, let me go. Um, and I didn't really have any expectations. I didn't really have a idea of, okay, yoga is gonna give me this kind of thing. But I knew like from research and stuff, yoga is meant to be good for relaxing, and the old flexibility came to mind, right? Because I was not flexible.
Mm,
So that was probably one of the reasons, but really the deeper reason when I started to go yoga and why I continued was because I had a lot of anxiety growing up, a lot of overthinking everything constantly, and to a point that I was um, constantly putting myself down for not doing things and for not being good enough, and all of these things that I was stopping myself from because of my thoughts, right? So that's definitely why I continued after the first few sessions. I was like, this feels great. I feel relaxed for a change.
mm. The mind started to quieten, and you sort of felt something,
Yeah.
a deeper sense of peace.
Yeah, exactly that. Because I just thought, yeah, I'm feeling like relaxed. I'm like, what is this? It's different from when I run or when I lift weights or even like alcohol, right? It's different to that. It's just like, okay, I feel pretty good, and I'm like laughing more with people.
Mm.
And I just called it a yoga high, right? I was like, yeah, I'm having my yoga high. And I didn't really take much notice of it until like after a few months of getting really into it. I was like, okay, this is actually like changing something fundamentally.
Mm. It's actually shifting your consciousness.
Exactly, exactly. It was just, I was just feeling calmer, and I was like being more open to conversations with people, to things, to invitations, and just going for things rather than thinking so much, right? I was just like, okay, I was
Mm.
becoming like a yes man, and like things started changing around me. I was like, all of my life started changing, all these opportunities started coming one by one. And that's why I remember and recall on yoga being so important for me in terms of shifting everything.
Wow. Powerful, man. That's really, really happy that that yoga found you, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, right. So yeah, it really helped with your anxiety. I watched a bit of your Instagram videos, and you mentioned that you used to be quite overweight. Do you mind?
Mm,
Do you mind speaking about that? I think that could inspire
yeah,
some people. How did you get yourself out of that? Not that it's such a bad thing, but I think
yeah.
finding some more health and some way to manage that is definitely beneficial, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. So I started off really skinny, right? Let's talk about my school days. I was really, really stick skinny. And then I started getting into weightlifting and into like getting big. That was my goal, right? I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna get massive. That will make me feel better, more like confident and stuff. So yeah, I did that. And then eventually I took it so far that I got injured doing some heavy lifting. Then I couldn't work out at all. I was binge eating and just feeling sorry for myself, right? And just the weight just piled on. And I didn't believe in it at first. I was like, no, I'm not getting overweight. I could have noticed it. But then after a while, it hit me. I was like, okay, like I'm wearing like 2 size bigger clothes. And it's just, yeah, I could see in photos, I was like, wow, is that me? Like my chin is like this. And so, yeah, I had to just, I don't think I was doing yoga back then, or was I? Yeah, so I was actually doing yoga then. I started my yoga journey when I was slightly overweight still. So basically, I started running. I started controlling my food and becoming more aware of what I was eating. Before, it was just about eating anything that had protein in it, for example. That was the addiction I had, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it became like, what's the point of all of this? Like, why am I doing this? Let me just get healthy. Because I noticed that when I was walking, I was getting tired just from walking upstairs, right? And that's when it hit me. I was like, something's like not right here. I'm getting exhausted walking
Mm-hmm.
upstairs. So I was
Yeah.
about in kilos, I think I got to like 97 kilos or something. And compared to now, that's about 20, 23 kilos more than
Mm.
now. So it's
Yeah.
like a big chunk of weight, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was the running, it was the change of diet, but then I had also been doing yoga at that time as well, which I guess made me more aware of what I was eating as well. So that's where it kind of linked in somehow, and I wouldn't have known it at the time, but only with kind of like thinking about it now, I can remember.
Yeah, totally. That's amazing. I definitely see the link there between becoming more aware of what you're putting into your mouth and what you're not and what you're eating.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I'm just, I go in and out of eating shit food and good food. Even though I'm doing so much yoga and stuff,
yeah,
my partner's gone back to Europe where you are,
yeah,
and I just straight away went to like eating food that I felt comfort in, like, and just like
yeah,
I'd been pretty good for a while, and
yeah,
then straight away, like it was really strong conditioning and a strong like subconscious pattern that I've just been breaking through, and I've just been eating more vegetables, and like I was already eating vegetables, but I just would always just go towards like a piece of chocolate cake or something to make me feel good.
sure. Yeah, 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 yeah.
um, do you have any like simple tips for someone that maybe can feel that they resonate with that and they want to have a bit more control over their diet? They just something simple, because I feel like dieting can just look it, it's like such a huge mountain to climb sometimes. So I like to
Yeah.
just try and bring it back into something simple that they could do daily, or something that they can replace their diet with, or yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think something simple could be, firstly, mindfully eating and planning what you're going to eat in the day actually helps a lot, right? Because it's like, okay, I know I'm going to have these things. So, because what usually happens is when people get hungry and then they wait too long, that's when they end up just becoming a machine, right? And just thinking, I'm going to consume anything in sight. And also, the other thing is when you're, like you mentioned, feeling not good mentally, you will like say, okay, chocolate makes me feel good. Let me have that right now. So it's just becoming aware of what you're putting in and planning in advance, I say, is the easiest way.
Yeah, good. Yeah, and I think cutting out as many processed foods as you can, and just
100%.
replacing everything with fresh vegetables. I mean, I don't have any like chocolate cake or anything in my house.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
more when I'm just out and I'm at a cafe or something. I'm like, oh, I'll just have a piece. It's all right. Or
yeah,
then I go for a
yeah,
run afterwards to like burn it off because I'm like, nah, I dropped off the wagon again.
yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah. So what about mindfulness? Do you want to give us a bit of an introduction to some mindfulness and maybe a mindfulness technique that we could take home today?
yeah. Okay, so yeah, this is an interesting one because a lot of people come to me and say, Raj, I can't stop my thoughts. And I'm like that's probably impossible. Even for someone who's been practicing forever, you can't really stop them, right? Just like your heart will continue beating, the thoughts will keep coming back eventually. You can't like permanently stop them. So what I'd say to most people is to anchor into a something which usually can be just your breath. So if you're like a beginner, just sit there and don't even try to stop your thoughts. If they're coming, sure, notice it. Great. I'm thinking about my chocolate cake.
Mm.
And then it will just eventually go away if you just focus on listening to the breath or feeling the breath in your stomach, or saying something helps. Like in your mind, you can say some kind of mantra, or you can just feel the direction of awareness on one point, whatever that is for you. Breath, a mantra,
Action,
some, yeah,
some type
yeah,
of,
exactly, something
yeah,
like that. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, like just using your senses, right? Like just being sort of one with the action. I mean, I've been finding since I've
yeah,
my carpentry is it just flows so much more now that I'm doing meditation and yoga before going to work and stuff, is because I can just
yeah,
totally be with what I'm building, instead of like building and then my thoughts just overtaking me. There's definitely a level of mindfulness that has come into building, cooking. It's everything, isn't it? I think that's why mindfulness is attractive, is because you can bring it into, it's just becoming mindful of everything
yeah.
that you're doing in your life.
Yeah, 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 exactly. And the other thing that comes to mind is just we're constantly moving from thing to thing to thing. And, even like making a meal, it feels like a burden. It feels like, okay, I have to make this meal, I have to get this done, then I have to eat it, and then I have to go to bed, I have to brush my teeth. All of these things becomes a list of,
Mm.
I have to get these things done. Or my work, oh, I'm worrying about tomorrow. Okay, I've got these things to do, but when you just slow down and you just feel into what you're doing, okay, I'm picking up the knife, I'm cutting these things. Look at the colors of the vegetables, for example. Really get into that moment. It becomes actually enjoyable. It doesn't feel like a chore anymore. It becomes like an art. Even eating can become even more enjoyable. You just feel the crunch and you feel, what's happening inside you. And that's how I describe mindfulness, right? Just really feeling what you're seeing, what you're smelling, what you're hearing, those kind of things.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I love all the things you just said there. Like just being with the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
So where did you do some courses in mindfulness, or um, did you go back to India, or did you go to India to learn the
No,
roots of mindfulness, or no?
no, I'd love to do that. I think I might do that next year if I can, or in the next few years. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'd love to do that. But for now, so the yoga teacher that I started with, right, 7 years ago, whatever. It was such an impact into my life because she was a teacher who would explain all of the deep history while we're doing it. And I'd be absorbing it even without knowing. I'd come back like months later and I remember something she said. Even now, I can remember some of the lessons that she was teaching, right? And then I just took this interest in it and I took it upon myself. I thought, okay, I'm going to read every single book, everything I can find about this, because I have anxiety and I want to remove that from my life. So I became consumed by it, right? Consumed by getting into the moment. So I just started reading things, trying things out on YouTube, meditations and stuff like that. And then I got to a point this year where I actually took a qualification for becoming a mindfulness teacher, right? A UK registered one. So it's all kind of like official and stuff. So now it feels like, okay, great. Now I'm ready to bring this to the world in a certain way with certain techniques.
Beautiful. So you would say that mindfulness has helped your anxiety?
I'd say 100% exactly. Even now when I'm having moments of anxiety, it brings me back to where I want to be.
And that process would just be like anxious thoughts. So for me, anxiety was like thinking of the future and becoming fearful of the future, essentially, and like you said, overthinking. So I just want to try and help someone that's, say, what would, if someone was in that state where they're just anxiety has hit them, what would you how would that person release themselves from that heavier state?
Yeah, so sometimes, well, it depends. Like sometimes it might be a fear of what's going to happen, like you mentioned. So, but based on the past, based on your information that your brain has collected through your memories, and those memories have created beliefs inside of you. I believe that I'm gonna fail in this thing that's coming up in the future, or I believe this is going to be scary because of all of the things that have happened in the past, right? So the only way so there's a few ways I can help people. Firstly, getting mindful to the moment, pausing, and then reflecting on, is this actually true? Is what I think is coming up really as bad as I think? And am I capable to handle that situation? And I might say to them, okay, do you have some evidence of proving that you can prove this wrong, right? Prove these thoughts wrong. And they might grab some from some positive memories, right? And that will change their state. So one thing for people listening is, if you're having these thoughts, anxiety or negative things that you might think are going to happen, ask yourself, is this really true? And what evidence can I place against that? Can I prove that wrong somehow? And you'll be able to find something that relates to it potentially. And otherwise, getting present and using specific mindfulness techniques, just sometimes it can be going for a walk and feeling your feet on the ground, mindfully walking, looking at different colors outside, noises, the cars slowly going by, smells, just living through your senses. So an exercise I give people sometimes is go outside, don't take any headphones, no phone, 10-minute, 15-minute walk, and take stock of three things you hear, three things you see, three things you're feeling in your body, some smells if they come down, and then write those down. And that automatically is putting you in the present, right? Because you're so aware of what's going on.
Mm. That's amazing. I think that's so needed in an age where our attention is constantly being jerked away from us. I mean, it's I don't think it's a negative thing. I mean, within that attention, someone's going to find this content and maybe drop their phone and go outside and go for a 10-minute walk and smell the roses.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I think that's why this stuff is just so important, and I think can really be so useful for this age. Really, like, it's so interesting, isn't it? To see both sides of it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like even for me, I've been practicing, yoga and mindfulness meditation for a while, and it still comes up. So everyone feels it. It's just, having those rituals in place to better manage it, really.
Yeah, I think the way it's been described to me is it's stabilizing. Like, it's not. I've let go of the idea of trying to achieve a certain state that I can hold on to, like a state of bliss or something like that, or a state of like heightened state of awareness that's never going to leave me, and I'm just going to walk around like this, like fully aware being, and just drop the world. But actually, what I've been realizing is that it's okay when the attention gets caught into these things. That's kind of what's happening in the material world. There's so much coming at you, and it's can you stabilize? Like, can you go into that, and then can you come back to that, like that sort of calm, centered state of being that isn't anxious, that isn't depressed, that doesn't have the personal problems so much. And that has become more my practice from doing a lot of asana, a lot of yoga, going to a lot of yoga studios, to then doing yoga teacher trainings, to then long meditation sits, silent meditation retreats. And now my practice has become more Zen-like and more mindful, like is what you're saying. Like, I really resonate. I think they're very similar sort of ways. And what I love about mindfulness is, and sort of Zen, is it brings you into the moment. It brings you into the actual, into life. Like, it brings you into that relationship with life, and it brings yoga connection into every single aspect of your life. And it just makes it more of a celebration, doesn't it? More of a joy, more of an event that you want to participate in, rather than, I mean, I love what you said about the having to-do list. I think I remember being like that. Like, when I'm caught in that space, I have to do this, I have to do that, and all you want to do is just, like, you feel so relaxed when you go to sleep because you don't have to do anything for once. Yeah,
Exactly. No, definitely.
Yeah, that's great, Raj. Well,
Yeah.
I'm really happy with what we chatted about today. Do you have a message for people out there? I mean, you're in lockdown at the moment in London, going to second one, which sounds confusing. You were telling me a little bit about the restrictions. I don't think we need to get into that, but is there something you would like to share to people that are maybe feeling the isolation and feeling the disconnect at the moment?
Yeah, what I'd say to people is you have a choice here. Everything can be going bad. There can be things going wrong in your life, in work. And there is another choice than being sucked into it and being pulled in directions. If you can find a way to find the silver lining in these moments and potentially use this time better, because yeah, sure, we can't go out, see our friends, we can't go and do everything we wanted to do before, but there's been times where we've said to ourselves, I wish I had the time to do these things, and now we do, right? Now is the time where you can use this and read and learn an instrument. You can take a course online. You can connect with people all over the world like we're doing. You can do all sorts of things now. So instead of focusing on the negative, I say try your best. I know it's hard, but to find what you can do with this time. Because there'll be something you can learn, something you can say, okay, I came out of lockdown and I used it for this. Great. I got something out of it instead.
Beautiful. Yeah, I hope that reaches someone out there that needs to hear this message, because I really feel for people going through second stage of this craziness. Yeah.
I think it's harder for us out here now because it's turning really cold and dark, right? And Christmas is coming soon, and people are just worried that, okay, it's already dark, it's already cold, now it's lockdown, and it's Christmas. What am I going to do in my life? So that, I think that's why it's becoming more scary and more heightened. But yeah, again, you can either just worry or complain potentially, or you can find some kind of light in that, even if it's like this small.
Yeah, there's always some type of silver lining if you're open to seeing it, for sure. Pretty easy for me to say over here. I don't have any lockdown and I'm living in amongst the trees. So I hope I'm not coming across as a pretentious prick.
No, it's all good.
Yeah. So do you have any offerings or anything you would like to guide people towards yourself? Like, anything, are you teaching online, or do you have any courses or anything you're making? It doesn't have to be now. Anything you're looking to create in the future?
Yeah. So I'm a life coach, of course, and that's probably the primary chunk of my time. And I use mindfulness with the coaching, right? Because I feel like those two things combined is so powerful because it's like, okay, let's get into the present. So you can think resourcefully and you can think in a better state. And now let's plan your change and your challenges. Let's find a solution now you're in that state. So that's what I'm focusing on right now. So if anyone wants to ask me questions about that or ask how that works, feel free. Other things coming up are potentially some mindfulness courses next year. And I'll probably be starting my own podcast sometime soon. So yeah, I'll 100% invite you on once that comes up.
Yeah, great. Okay, yeah, happy to be a guest on someone else's show for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, all right. I'll probably leave it at that today, Raj. Thank you so much.
cool. Perfect.
Awesome, man. All right, you have a good day.
Cheers. Yeah, you too.
See you, bro. Okay, thank you for listening. That was Raj Gorsia on the Freedom Experiment with David Smith. And if you would like to follow my Facebook page, the Freedom Experiment with David Smith, then yeah, that would help me out. Get a few more likes, a few more follows. You can find me on Instagram. Thefreedomexperiment.com.au is my Instagram page. And yeah, I'm just building my website still, so I won't plug that yet because I'm not sure what the domain's going to be. But yeah, that's it for today. Thanks for listening to the podcast. And yeah, give a listen to a few others. There's a really good one with Polly McGee. That was the first one that I put out. And Michael Olabode. Those two podcasts I really would recommend. They're really powerful, and we go deep into self-inquiry and ego and identities and the different labels that we put on ourselves in this reality. So yeah, there's a little plug for my own podcast. Yeah, have a lovely evening or night or day or morning, wherever you're at. Thank you for listening. Bye.